3, 2, 1.
All right, 2026 season is here, or at least close to being here, with yours truly and the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joey Knish. It's hit the books. We're talking college football, specifically some off-season topics, and with this video, we're going to discuss the all-important transfer portal when it comes to college football. Some teams have solved it, i.e. Indiana. We'll be talking to defending national champs. Some other schools have had great classes, LSU, Texas, you name it. Some schools have left a little bit to be desired in the transfer portal. We'll cover it all and a lot more, but first and foremost, let me remind everybody that Hit the Books is indeed brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. And right now, golf fans, that's right, this college football show, but we're talking golf. The PGA season is in full swing, and it's as the world's best way to navigate these hollowed fairways. FanDuel is here to bring you closer to every career-defining moment. There's nothing quite like the emotional journey of championship golf, and FanDuel's round betting features let you join the day-to-day moments with hole-by-hole markets like round leader, birdie counts, finishing position, more. No need to wait until Sunday for a big win. Think you know how it's all going to go down? Combine your top 5 finishers into a parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. And don't forget, with FanDuel, when you win, best part about it, you get paid instantly. So if you're ready to play your game, just visit FanDuel.com/hitthebooks to join now. That's FanDuel.com/hitthebooks to bet the PGA Tour with America's #1 sportsbook. Every swing can be a winner with FanDuel, an official partner of the PGA Tour. 21 plus and present in select states with Kansas affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or call 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org. In Maryland, Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Massachusetts, call 1-877-8-HOPE New York, or text HOPE New York in New York. For Louisiana, welcome Louisiana. You can call 1-877-770-7867. Knish, long time no talk. It's been 5-6 weeks, bug.
I know.
How's your off season been?
You know what? Not too bad. Staying busy. Good to get back into it. And you know what? Nice to be talking a little early 2026 CFB. Excited to dip into the pool here.
Yeah, excited. And again, we're going to do some short videos, 10-15 minutes, covering obviously the major topics this offseason. We'll be doing our live shows soon in a few weeks by the end of this month, March, as we're recording this. Obviously, you can tell I'm a little rusty. I'm not used to reading PGA Tour ad reads, so hopefully I'll be better as we go through the videos. But in this particular video, I mentioned at the top, talking transfer portal. Obviously, transfer portal has become vital in the last 3-4 years of college football. If you want to compete for national championships, you better get it right in the transfer portal, and you better, player retention. You better not lose too much in the portal. The couple sites that, actually, weigh the transfer portal differently. You got 247, the old school model just factors in what you bring in. And obviously teams like LSU, Ole Miss, Penn State, Oklahoma State, Kentucky, teams with new coaches that had to bring in 30, 40 players, they're going to rank high in that list. Actually, the site I think that does it best is factors in what you're bringing in, subtracting what you lost via the transfer portal. Now, they on 3 is that site. They got Indiana #1, and I actually agree with that. If you look at what Indiana brought in, you can tell that Cignetti been there, done that. And if you're talking return on investment, the type of players that he brought in, I think deserving of a #1 ranking. LSU did do a great job laying Kiffin the portal king. I mean, with what he got, nobody was bringing in as many, 4- and 5-star type talents. So I just want to get your general thoughts. If anything surprised you in the portal, we'll break down a few classes, but and maybe some winners and losers. Any general thoughts as far as this year's portal?
A couple teams that stuck out. I would say one, if I'm doing a video game, if this is NCAA, I'm doing exactly what Texas did, right? Like, I'm going out. They went offense heavy. That's Arch Manning, probably his last year in the program. And they said, we're going to get playmakers, absolutely, every level of the offense, to where you paid Cam Coleman a lot. A lot of money. If rumors can be true, Hollywood Smothers, Raleek Brown. It's going to be a fun Texas offense. I think you'll say that. Now, hopefully, did they plug enough on the offensive line? But just in terms of skill position talent, you went from good to, I think, maybe not even arguably the best in the country in terms of the skill position level. So it should be fun at Texas. And I know you didn't want to jinx it here, but just in terms of overall classes. I know Notre Dame, they had to do a lot because they lost a lot. But in terms of what they brought in, I think also, a couple of young defensive players as well. We're at kind of trying to replenish in the trenches. I like what they did. And even if we go down, you know what? It's a couple of names that were probably up there last year that maybe not as great, but Texas Tech, a little bit reloaded again. Miami, I know they had the Darian Mensah drama, but a couple of guys, both of those teams losing a good amount, but also restocking. And top of the Big Ten, Ohio State and Michigan, a couple of teams that add Michigan, with the coaching change. Ohio State looking to, kind of probably after what was I'm not going to call it a disappointing season, but from where they want to be, having to go fishing a little bit. So I'd say a couple of that would probably be the list of ones that stuck out. But for me, I don't know, the funnest, the one I'm most anxious to see would be how that Texas offense looks.
Yeah, they certainly went out and got the best wide receiver, the best 1-2 punch at running back. I would argue, you talk the offense side of the ball. I think they went out and got the best linebacker maybe in the portal and the Biles kid from Pitt. So certainly they pushed all their chips into one table as far as going in on this season. They have to, because after missing the playoffs, after going to the semifinals back-to-back years, that's got to be the expectation. So I agree. I thought they did a tremendous job, and they're certainly one of the contenders to win the national championship, if not one of the co-favorites. Indiana, I want to mention just because, I would argue, and we'll see if you agree with me, I would argue that I'm not a huge Josh Hoover guy, but to this point in his career, he's coming in with a better career into this season at Indiana than what Mendoza was coming off of Cal. So what Indiana got was a very highly productive player at TCU. Yes, a little bit inconsistent, but obviously Cignetti's offense, very quarterback friendly. I think he'll do well there, especially getting a guy like Nick Marsh at wide receiver that was underutilized in Michigan State. I like the Boston College running back Turbo Richard. I thought they went out and got a really good pickup, a guy that was a key depth piece for Notre Dame, a guy that Notre Dame wanted to keep, and Josh Burnham on the edge. So I thought Indiana's class was great. You meant
just to add on to that a bit. I think that you're kind of seeing now even more of the business side of college football with Indiana, right? They have the great national title run. You make a bunch of money just going on that run and getting the payouts. Plus, then you get the alumni. I mean, they already had some of the alumni buy-in and restocking the kind of the coffers, if you will. You go on that type of run, and you get you got Mark Cuban talking out there about how much he's donating. It's like now, in the new era, especially for some of these programs that have been starved for success, you start getting it's a lot easier to make those calls when you're Indiana and now you're getting a run of success than it is, if you're the bottom feeder of one of these conferences, or if you're a team, if you're an Alabama alum, you've seen 6 national championships, in 20, that type of thing. I think you get some of that desperation mixed with the success. And now you've got, Indiana up there spending with anybody.
And speaking of spending, another team that's looks like they're spending just as much as they did previous years, that would be Texas Tech, who made the run to the college football playoff last year, winning the Big 12 by a comfortable margin. I'm here to tell you, I think they're going to win the Big 12 by a comfortable margin again this year. Maybe not as much fanfare as last year's portal class that was ranked, at the very top. This one, depending on what you're looking at, I think On3 had him number 3, 247 only had him 10th, but they lose a ton at defensive line. But I'm here to tell you, they did a good job in the portal once again on the defensive line. Some sneaky G5 prospects that can really get after the passer. Trey White from San Diego State won the nation leader in sacks. I like the kid from Miami, Ohio, the Adam Trick kid. Who's I thought was one of the better defensive players in the MAC. Doesn't come with a lot of fanfare. The guy maybe on the defensive front that does is the Wake Forest defensive tackle they brought in. And obviously on the offensive side of the ball, Sorsby at quarterback, in my opinion, an upgrade over what they had at quarterback last year, especially they were banged up at that position. I'm a big fan of what Texas Tech did. I think there's a chance that they could be even better than this year's team. And oh yeah, by the way, we'll talk this when we talk the championship futures. I think their schedule could be even easier this year. So they did what they had to do to get right back into the playoffs.
Yeah, you know what? And I think you mentioned it there with Sorsby, where last year you went into like they nailed the class at everywhere except they didn't go get a quarterback, right? And you had Morton, you had Hammond, you think we're going to be okay. Neither guy really. Hammond goes down mid-year, Morton's banged up all the way, and then in the playoff game, you kind of saw it there, where like you didn't have a difference maker at quarterback, and the big advantage you had, in conference in the Big 12, having so much talent, having that defensive line, then gets muted a little bit. Where you have to then you're going up against the best of the best. You got to have enough. So is Sorsby that guy? I don't know. Is it an improvement from last year's quarterback room? Yes. Is he going to make a difference maker in terms of them being a national title contender? I don't know if I'm there, especially with what they lost. And again, you said they're restocking, but man, they nailed it out of the park on some guys last year, mixed in with the fact that they had some guys returning on that team where that defense had almost like a virtuoso. It all came together, elite year. The offense will have to be better this year for them to match. I think they'll run through the Big 12 no matter what, because right now in spending, they're up at the top and everybody else is, lagging behind. But national now, if you're Texas Tech, right, you want to get into that national title conversation. Is this class good enough? I don't think so to begin with. It's not. I think it's a level below. I think they'll be able to match what they did last year. For me, it doesn't put them into that national title contender, though.
Before we wrap this up, I do want to mention maybe a couple classes that left a little bit to be desired, or programs that had some expectations or some holes to fill, and in my opinion, necessarily didn't do so. Obviously, they were playing with one arm tied behind their back when it came to the portal, but man, Matt Campbell taking basically the entire Iowa State team to Penn State left a hell of a lot of holes to fill for Iowa State. In the on-3 rankings, they're dead last as far as the portal. What you're bringing in, subtracting what you left. I mean, Iowa State would have had would have been maybe even the second or third favorite in the Big 12. Had all 13 starters transferred to Penn State, 15 starters overall transferred. So you're talking about a team that returns 0 starters, 0 on the entire team, and they would have had like 15 guys back had Campbell not left. So I think they're in pretty bad shape as far as a year one situation. I think some coaches on the hot seat didn't do enough, in my opinion. Bill O'Brien at Boston College, not a fan of their class. I don't think Belichick did enough. They had a good freshman class. That's not going to win you this year.
Right.
Incoming recruiting class. They didn't do, in my opinion, enough in the portal. Cincinnati, we talked about Sorsby leaving Cincinnati, going to Texas Tech. They didn't do enough, in my opinion, in the portal that's going to save Satterfield's job. Pitt is another one that lost quite a bit. I talked about the linebacker going to Texas, among others, leaving that. I think they're in trouble. So those are schools that I thought were losers in the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just attack a couple on. I know 24/7 had Stanford number 1 in the release. I mean, that I think they're at a point where you brought in Andrew Luck, you brought in a new stat. If you can't get kids right now, and I think a lot of that's academics, you're going to have to do it the old school way, right? Where you're going to have to recruit and retain. And man, I don't know, without having, it's almost like, as you said, one hand tied behind your back there. If you're not going to be able to add in, especially in these, then you're going to have to wait the old school way, which was wait 2, 3, 4 years while you can build up to get, and patience in college football is at an all-time low. So that's going to be I think a tough strategy to make work. You meant, and you know what, I'm playing all the hits here, but the Clemson, you talked about Iowa State, who I think as a program is probably now back in the tank after the Matt Campbell era. Clemson is a program that's just been declining. And I know they tried a little bit more this year. I think they had 10 players so far out of the class, as opposed to I think less than 10 the previous few years. That ain't going to get it done, though. I mean, that's just not going to be able to turn this ship around. And I think you're seeing them fall off from, a perennial national title contender to last year, a step back to, a team that's kind of not maybe not even a college football playoff contender to maybe even, you might be a middle of the pack.
Not even an ACC contender. Nothing.
Maybe just a middle of the pack ACC team now. So what was unthinkable 3-4 years ago kind of feels like reality now. And that I don't think that's getting turned around.
No, I don't think so either. Any closing thoughts on the portal? Obviously, we'll break down more as we get closer to the season. I didn't want to talk too much G5 stuff yet with those markets, looking like they're not going to be up for a while yet.
Yeah, and we got, but I might as well stick to the premium. Everybody knows we'll get it as the season as the off season goes along here, dig in a little bit more in the weeds. But no, that was a good good appetizer here for who's got and who's not in the portal.
And keep in mind, we got plenty more videos discussing national championship futures, Heisman futures, new coaches. I'm sure Mr. Knish is going to have a take or two when it comes to what Michigan did as far as head coaching. You can find all that and a heck of a lot more on the Hit the Books YouTube channel. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. For the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joey Knish. For producer Alex Moretto, doing a good job behind the scenes. I'm Brad Powers. We'll see you on the next Hit the Books channel.